about it. I volunteered for this media day myself, and for good reasons.
What's up, WWE fans? You're watching Wrestling Edge Files, where every slam and surprise matters. Subscribe now, and let's roll in. The moment that aired on SmackDown, a shaken camera, a dimly lit parking garage, and the shocking sight of Drew McIntyre ambushing Cody Rhodes has already become one of the most talked about segments in modern WWE. This wasn't a typical backstage scuffle or a heated argument that spiraled out of control. It felt different, colder, more premeditated and more unsettling than anything fans have seen in years. The segment was crafted to feel real in a way that pushed beyond the usual boundaries of sports entertainment storytelling. Cody, dressed in his street clothes and finishing his responsibilities for the night, believed he was walking toward a quiet exit and an ordinary trip to his rental car. Instead, he walked into a dramatic attack meant to send a message not just to him, but to the entire roster. Why the location matters. Parking garage attacks in wrestling always carry a certain rawness, but this one intensified that feeling. It wasn't a ring or a backstage interview area filled with referees, staff, and a full camera crew. It was a quiet, dim location where wrestlers usually let their guard down. Cody had completed his work, likely thinking about travel plans or upcoming appearances, not preparing for a confrontation. Drew choosing this location emphasized intentionality. He waited, watched, and struck when Cody was most vulnerable. That's what immediately set the tone. This wasn't adrenaline-fueled aggression. It was a calculated decision designed to catch Cody completely off guard. The attack begins. When Drew stepped out from behind a production vehicle, he didn't waste time with warnings or theatrics. He launched into Cody with explosive intensity, knocking him off balance and sending shockwaves through the crew members in the vicinity. Cody tried to gather himself, but Drew kept up the pressure with forceful strikes and an unrelenting sense of purpose. The choreography of the moment was designed to make viewers feel the impact without relying on graphic visuals, focusing instead on the emotional shock and the sense of helplessness Cody experienced. Escalation and raw emotion. As Cody attempted to defend himself, Drew's anger only seemed to intensify. He pushed Cody against vehicles, slammed him into nearby equipment, and kept shouting in frustration, words the broadcast muted due to their harsh tone. This wasn't a villain trying to gloat for the camera. This was a man whose anger had boiled over into something deeply personal. Cody struggled to regain his footing, but each time Drew cut off his attempts with ruthless efficiency. Even though the actual broadcast removed explicit visuals, the framing and acting conveyed overwhelming intensity without crossing lines of real harm. Security intervention and the aftermath. By the time security sprinted into the area, Drew was fully consumed by his rage. It took multiple staff members to pull him back, and even then he continued straining to break free. Cody, dazed and shaken, needed immediate medical examination. The focus wasn't on excessive visuals, but on his difficulty standing, his disorientation, and the urgent manner in which medical personnel guided him away. The scene was shot like a crime drama rather than a typical wrestling beatdown, raw, tense, and purposely uncomfortable, all designed to make viewers understand the seriousness of the moment without leaning on graphic detail. Drew McIntyre's motivation. Understanding why Drew did this is central to understanding the storyline's impact. Drew's recent frustrations with management, opportunities, and his place on the roster have been simmering for months. He's felt overlooked, overshadowed, and increasingly resentful as Cody has risen to championship status and become the face of the brand. From Drew's perspective, Cody represents everything he believes he deserves, but hasn't been given. His attack wasn't framed as a shortcut to a title opportunity, but as the boiling point of months of resentment, disappointment, and internal conflict. Drew didn't just attack the champion, he attacked someone he views as a symbol of favoritism and blocked opportunity. Cody Rhodes' condition and championship concerns. Although not depicted graphically, Cody's injuries were portrayed as serious enough to cast doubt on his immediate future as champion. The commentary team emphasized medical evaluations, possible facial trauma, and concerns about Cody being cleared for competition. The storyline now presents WWE leadership with a dilemma. Cody earned his position and didn't provoke the attack, yet he may not be physically ready to defend his championship. Stripping him would feel unjust, but allowing him to compete before he's cleared would be irresponsible. This tension sets up weeks of compelling storytelling. Locker room reactions. Behind the scenes, wrestlers were shown divided in their reactions. Some were disgusted with Drew, believing he crossed an unwritten line by attacking someone in a non-competitive setting. They argued that if Drew could ambush the champion in a parking garage, no one else was safe. Others quietly sympathized with his frustrations, even if they disapproved of his methods. Many superstars have felt overshadowed or underutilized, and while they don't excuse Drew's actions, they understand the emotional pressure that pushed him over the edge. This division, resentful ambition versus locker room unity, opens opportunities for new alliances, rivalries, and long-term narrative shifts. Fan reaction and online outrage. Fans responded explosively online. Cody's supporters were furious, calling the attack cowardly and demanding severe consequences for Drew. Hashtags trended within minutes, petitions circulated, and the moment ignited fierce debates across social platforms. But another group of fans viewed the attack as a jolt of energy to Drew's character, praising his return to a darker, more intense persona. They weren't endorsing real harm, they were responding to the dramatic storytelling and the fresh edge this gives the SmackDown narrative. The division in the fanbase only amplifies the storyline's power, storyline ethics, and moral questions. This moment forces WWE to confront a difficult question. Where is the boundary between acceptable sports entertainment violence and unacceptable unsanctioned aggression? Fans understand that steel chair shots and high-impact moves are part of the spectacle, but attacking someone in a setting where they haven't agreed to compete changes the moral framework. Should there be storyline legal consequences? Should Drew be suspended or fined within the narrative? Should Cody press charges in story? Wrestling thrives when storytelling blurs reality and fiction, but doing so responsibly requires thoughtful boundaries. Cody versus Drew. A blood feud is born. The inevitable match between these two will now carry emotional weight far beyond championships. Cody won't just be defending his title, he'll be defending his dignity and responding to a deeply personal attack. Drew, meanwhile, isn't simply chasing gold. He's proving a point about how far he's willing to go to reshape his own destiny. Their eventual collision will be fueled by revenge, resentment, pride, and unresolved anger, making it one of the most anticipated clashes in years. Long-term impact on both characters. For Cody, this moment becomes a turning point. How he responds will define his championship reign. Does he become more aggressive, abandoning his clean-cut hero persona? Does he double down on his values, refusing to meet Drew's darkness with darkness of his own? For Drew, his transformation into a full-fledged villain is complete. This isn't a heel turn that can be reversed quickly. His choices were too severe, too emotional, and too deeply rooted in character motivations to be undone without a long redemption arc. The bigger picture. Ultimately, this storyline represents WWE leaning into realistic, emotionally grounded storytelling rather than over-the-top spectacle. By focusing on tension, psychology, and dramatic framing rather than graphic visuals, WWE delivered a segment that felt impactful, unsettling, and unforgettable. It sets the stage for months of compelling television, creates new layers for both Cody and Drew, and reminds fans how powerful wrestling storytelling can be when it taps into raw human emotion rather than exaggerated physical violence.